Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles podcast on a Monday afternoon, 4 o'clock. Bo Wulf, Zach Berman here in Studio B to recap, talk about, unpack, unzip the Eagles' come-from-behind victory over the Buffalo Bills in overtime, a walk-off. We just spoke to Nick Sirianni for a little bit. Zach, you still got a little bit of a lingering cough, but you are on the mend. You had a nice Jalen Hurts story pop up on allphly.com yesterday. You got to listen to the Beats conversation from the postgame pod with Jamie Lynch. How you doing?
Doing well. Excited for the show. New week. Big week. I feel like it's week 12 for us. It's the Super Bowl in San Francisco.
Well said. Look at you taking the shot. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, so the Eagles will actually, if the Eagles,
the Lombardi Trophy is up for grabs.
If the Eagles make the Super Bowl, they'll know exactly what it's like facing a team that has played for the Super Bowl already, because that's the way the 49ers are approaching it. But
good for you.
It's still the 24 hours after the win. So players always talk about the 24-hour rule and have had more time than usual to dissect this game. No travel today, which is always great, because you can dig into the game. I got to bed at 2 a.m. last night, so had a decent amount of sleep. So
you think you beat Sirianni last night?
Oh, Sirianni was in sleep before that. Actually, I watched Mike's interview with Mike Quick. I watched Nick's interview with Mike Quick, and he slept in his office twice last week. Didn't make it home. Slept in his office twice.
I feel like that is a little bit unnecessary. I think we have talked about this over the years. It's a little bit, look at me, but
but Nick's on the phone doing calls and whatnot. So just combine one of your calls with your rides. Knock it out. I don't want to say where I know how far he lives from the facility.
I think you could tell us how far he lives from the facility.
Yeah, it's about 25 minutes.
Okay. All right. So now we can draw a little radius. And figure out where there are a certain amount of places he can live.
Yeah, so he can knock that out on his way home. He can go into his kids' room, give him a kiss.
It was a short week, you can understand. One night, I get it, but two
nights sleeping on the couch. You don't have to do that. Now,
unless you're in the doghouse,
or you're recovering from a cold,
or you're
that too. Yeah,
or you're staying at somebody else's place. You're couch surfing.
Or you're couch surfing. Oh, okay.
Should we think of other couch scenarios?
No, I think we're good.
You've got too many people in an Airbnb.
Yeah, let's couch that discussion.
I appreciate the little glance of approval, looking for approval.
Point being,
after making a joke, that's good.
Point being, had some time to think about this game, had some time to watch some critical scenarios, had some time to obviously talk to Nick Sirianni. It wasn't pushed back like an hour today. So I feel for a Monday show, we are in really good position. We have a lot to talk about. There's good information. By the way, I drove home, listened to a chunk of your show, listened to the other part this morning. You and Jamie did great last night. Really well done.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome.
The city of Philadelphia schools were closed today, so I had the kids for most of the day. So I'm going to ask you to carry a little bit more of the load today in terms of the actual analysis. I didn't get a chance to rewatch the game as many times as I would like. So
what a backhanded shot that was.
What do you mean?
I would like to think that I carry a good amount of the load most of the time.
I'm not saying you don't. Okay. I'm just saying more than usual because I didn't get to pull my own weight.
Well, you always pull your weight. You're an outstanding.
Well, not apparently not. Apparently you're Mr. Analysis.
All right, let's do it.
Okay. Well, here's my question before we get to Sirianni. Yes. What do you make of now, a couple weeks in a row, and you sort of understand it because this is 3 or 4 wins in a row where the Eagles have been outplayed for large portions of the game, outgained by over 100 yards, And yet the losing team, sometimes the players, sometimes the fan base, seems to be a little bit focused on the injustices of the game itself. How do you feel about that?
Meaning the Bills are focused on the officiating?
Yes. And also shoving fans on the sideline.
Yeah. Well, the latter's inexcusable no matter what. Like, you can't, come on.
I thought that was outrageous.
Yeah.
Jordan Phillips was like, he was a head case the entire game.
It seemed relatively benign.
That guy was looking for a fight from like, tush push one.
Like, I'm not here to be the attorney for Eagles fans. If you say stupid stuff could happen to you. But it didn't. It just seemed like normal, taunting the other team. There's nothing. It didn't seem egregious to me to warrant like the Bills coming over.
I mean, I have no idea what the person was saying, but
still, I mean,
you can't be shoving people.
Yeah. I thought there was too much attention paid to the officiating.
So do I.
I do think there was a disparity in the first half, especially. The Bills had 10 penalties in the first half, and there were calls that I didn't particularly that I thought favored the Eagles. I thought it was an Eagles tilted whistle, if you will. But if I'm an objective Buffalo Bills fan or reporter today, my takeaway from this game isn't the official screwed us. My takeaway is we outplayed the best team in football and we couldn't close the deal. And there have been a number of occasions this year. The Denver game comes to mind because that was on national TV when
the Jets in week 1.
Yeah, when Buffalo outplays their opponent and they don't close the deal. And like, I'm looking at
what a great statement game it was for the Bills, some might say.
Is that something someone said?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So my big takeaway, if I'm Buffalo, is why aren't we winning these games that we put ourselves in position to win? Not like why did the officiating?
And what's your answer to
that? It's a fair question. Look, you gotta make critical plays in critical junctures, right? You can go up and down the field, but there are certain plays that swing a game. And you need to respond accordingly. And they didn't respond. They had a bad penalty against Denver. Yesterday, Gabe Davis turns the wrong way.
Now, I do think somebody made this point. The Gabe Davis turns the wrong way thing. You also have to give credit to Sean Desai because he's calling an all-out blitz there. Yeah. Like, that is the point of sending that blitz, is that you're gonna mess up the timing of the quarterback and the receiver. Yeah. There's a chance that something like that happens.
I agree. I just think if you're Buffalo, like you got to make these critical plays. You gotta you can't miss 2 field goals. You get one blocked, you miss a 48-yarder. I understand it's bad conditions. You got to get off the field on 3rd and 15 when on that touchdown OZ. I was reading Sean McDermott's comments after the game about not going for about not going forward at the end of regulation.
If I was a Bills fan, to me, that is the thing that I would not get over.
And he wanted to use the timeout to make Jake Elliott think, and he's like, the time to win the game for us was that last drive, and we pushed him back to a 59-yard field goal.
Why can't you have multiple times to try to win the game? I thought that was ridiculous.
I agree. Like, Josh Allen was outstanding.
It was awesome. Yesterday. He was the best player on the field.
Yeah, and that might have been the best quarterback performance I've seen this year. The way Josh Allen played. Now I'm kind of tuned in only to Eagles games and national games, right? So CJ Stroud, I know he's had great games that I just haven't watched, but the way Josh Allen played, like he could not be stopped for a segment of that game. The run he had against Hassan Reddick, there's nothing Hassan Reddick could do there. So the Bills, who literally were eliminated in the postseason a few years ago from the Chiefs going, 50 yards in 12 seconds or whatever?
Yeah, exactly.
Even now, I'm not big on icing the kicker, especially a guy like Jake Elliott. Like, I would hold my tight.
If anything,
I would hold my time out there.
Yeah, if anything, you're giving him more time to analyze what the wind is like on the field.
So I think that's an antiquated thing. I don't see any data behind it suggesting that icing the kicker is the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it if it's like the last play of the game and you've got a timeout that you can decide where to burn, and you're like, maybe I'm going to call it, maybe I'm not, and maybe you don't do the same thing every time. But yeah, in a situation like that, when you're going to get the ball back with like 22 seconds left, and you would have 2 timeouts, and you have Josh Allen. Like, I think it's outrageous to take that out of his hand.
Like, Josh Allen could literally.
And in his post-game press conference, he's talking about, well, we're a little bit afraid of their pass rush.
Yeah.
Like, the Eagles had 2 sacks yesterday.
Yeah, like it's not that hard with 2 timeouts to get 30 yards. And at least put yourself in position for an end-of-game field goal. You just saw the Eagles.
You might get a pass interference.
You just saw the Eagles hit 59-yarder. So this is
this is a 6-5 team. You're playing on the road. Like, go try to win the game.
Yeah. So this is a long way of saying, if I'm in Buffalo this morning and I'm complaining about the officials, I'm not seeing the forest through the trees. I'm not seeing the forest through the trees. So I didn't, and
I gave them guff for making you do the pool report yesterday. I actually do think the was it a horse collar or not? Like, I do think that required an explanation, and it was a big play in the game. And I sort of guessed that, like, if you're getting a pool report anyway, you might as well get one on the pass interference. But that pass interference did not deserve any comment from the referee. But
someone texted me today, like, about the pass interference. Like, why'd you ask that? I was like, I was just doing what they asked me to do. But I think that the juxtaposition, if you will, between these two teams, like, the Eagles keep finding ways to win games, and I think that becomes a cliche. This team knows how to win, except A, we're seeing it week in, week out, and B, and you were onto this before I was, and you were absolutely right, they take on the personality of the quarterback. So I think what you're seeing from the way the Eagles are responding late in games, look, you can't rely on this. And I wrote this today. You know what's better than coming back from double-digit points is not getting down double-digit points, right?
Right, and not forcing Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick to play with 75 snaps again.
But to that point, like, Jalen Hurts has a certain aura about him. Like,
he's got a calmness, right?
Yeah, and I think what we've seen is evidence that this team can find a way to come back because they have a quarterback who keeps his wits about him, who believes, like, genuinely believes, not like believes for the cameras. Like,
let me tell you that I believe.
Yeah,
right.
I don't confess to know Jalen Hurts well. I've covered him for 4 seasons now, 3 years in person. I have a sense of, like, what he's going to say. But what I feel comfortable saying is this is not like an act. This is, I do think, like, Jalen genuinely believes that he is the guy who's going to win these games. Like, it is an affront to him to suggest that you can't come back. It is an affront to him to suggest that, like, oh, you're playing Dak Prescott and Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen in back-to-back weeks. You're the inferior quarterback. Like, he genuinely believes he's the least surprised person there. And we all saw that clip now of, like, when Jake Elliott kicks the field goal and he's not even celebrating. He's like,
just
how do we
shaking his
butcher?
head,
Yeah, how do we butcher the end of game situation there? That is who Jalen Hurts is. And I had a tweet out today. Then I feel strongly about this because I was thinking about it. When you hear face of the franchise, it kind of it's cheapened almost to like a marketing term, like, oh, you put him out there in your promotional material. I think the way you've framed it is the better way. He's the personality of the franchise. Like, the franchise gets its personality from him. They take on Jalen Hurts' personality to the point, if they had a different quarterback, and I've seen this with Carson Wentz, by the way, and I've seen this with Nick Foles. If you have the team tends to take on the personality of the quarterback, and that organization is Jalen Hurts' organization.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. And we've talked about this last year. I said the thing about he's like single-handedly turning me into an intangibles guy, right? Because like this arc of improvement that he's had over the course of his career is so preposterous. And there's a degree to which that is also sort of true about like he's turning me into maybe this team has some, they can find a way to win to it, which I still am pretty skeptical of. Like they need to play better. This is not, I don't think that like winning these games is a sustainable thing moving forward. But I also feel like if you were an up and coming executive within the Eagles organization or like a coach on this team, I feel like there's like Jalen Hurts could ruin your career because he could make you think that I can look for somebody who has these personality traits. And even if they're not quite Jalen Hurts, like that's going to help carry them to improve and everybody's going to come along with him. Like this is not the way that it usually works. And if you were like trying to find the next Jalen Hurts, it's like the framing that we talked about before. Like Jalen Hurts just sort of happened to the Eagles to some degree, as opposed to them developing him. Like he is a self-made person, and I don't think that there are a lot of people out there like him.
So I'm going to push back on that a bit. I do think Jalen Hurts happened to the Eagles in the sense that they did not envision Jalen Hurts being the face of the franchise. Like, and we don't need to relitigate that they did not anticipate that. But, and I know this from like some high level conversations, they saw these qualities. Like they realized the passing needed work and all this stuff, but they saw these personality qualities and they were hell-bent on like not missing out on those qualities to the point that all the risk that carried with it. And again, I know we're relitigating the pick. I was so focused on the risk. I was so focused on how could you do this to Carson Wentz? Like how, what's this going to mean to the team? And not the reward. And the reward being, if you have the chance to get a special person, don't miss that chance to get a special person.
I don't think that that's unfair. I just mean from like a talent development standpoint, like Jalen Hurts made himself this. And I'm not, not to like throw Shane Steichen under the bus, but it's not like if Shane Steichen hadn't been here, Jalen Hurts wouldn't be this good anymore, right? Or if Brian Johnson hadn't been here, Jalen Hurts wouldn't be this good anymore. Like Jalen Hurts has made himself this good.
Yes, and just to add to that before we get into the next discussion, because you mentioned Shane Steichen, and I say this in like a respectful way, Jalen Hurts is going to make a lot of people a lot of money. He's going to make coaches money. He's going to make players money. He's going to make teams money. Like,
he's going to make journalists money.
I don't know if anyone's hiring me for Jalen Hurts in particular, but
okay.
I'll take it, right? I mean, but point being, like, there is going to be this industrial complex around Jalen Hurts because he rises all tides. And if you're like if you're a quarterback's coach, if you're a quality control coach, I would try to get in on the Eagles because this is not going to end anytime soon.
We'll see. Before we move forward and hear what Nick Sirianni had to say today, I don't know this for certain, but it's possible that one of the other things that has helped Jalen Hurts get as good as he is, chocolate milk? I don't know, maybe. Because we've got a new sponsor, the Pennsylvania Dairy Farmers and Team Chocolate Milk. We are talking local here, people. Just the Pennsylvania dairy farmers themselves. Professional and college athletes have known about the power of chocolate milk as a refuel and recovery beverage for a long time. Chocolate milk provides high-quality protein for muscle repair, electrolytes for hydration, and calcium for strong bones. That's why studies consistently show that chocolate milk is an ideal sports recovery beverage. So whether you are recovering after a workout at the gym, a run around Boathouse Row, a bike ride on the Schuylkill Trail as you are passed by a whirling Zach Berman down the line, or if you have just defeated the Buffalo Bills, chocolate milk is an ideal post-workout beverage. What could be better than a scientifically proven recovery beverage made right here in Pennsylvania that also tastes great? Learn more about how chocolate milk can help you refuel and recover after your next workout by visiting teamchocolatemilk.com.
Saturday morning before the Michigan-Ohio State game, I spent some quality time with my son and daughter, and one of the stops on our way was Wheelhouse. We were there first. We were there before it opened. It opens at 11 a.m. We were waiting outside at 10:58.
Wow, camping out.
Wheelhouse is the go-to sports card, gift, and apparel shop in the Delaware Valley. Their motto is cards and community because the love of sports unites us all. They carry all of your favorite card brands like Topps, Chrome, Baseball, and Mosaic Football, as well as t-shirts, hats, and hoodies from brands like Mitchell & Ness, 47 Brand, Junk Food Starter, and Shy Vintage Sports. I don't want to always put this on my son. I bought a sweatshirt there, nice Spectrum sweatshirt. from Shy Vintage Sports. Looking to grade your sports card collection? Wheelhouse offers PSA grading submissions. They also host tons of different family-friendly events and birthday parties every month. Stop to either of their stores in Wayne or Westchester. Open 7 days a week at 11 a.m. Use code PHLY and get $10 off any purchase of $25 or more in store. Also, be sure to give them a follow on Instagram at Wheelhouse Cards.
Listen to this, Zach. Breaking news. A match made in heaven. Derek Barnett was claimed on waivers today by the handsome man himself, DeMeco Ryans in the Houston Texans.
Could fit for him. Team that's likely headed to the playoffs or certainly in playoff contention.
Possibly.
Could use some pass rush. He could play more there. I like that fit, and I wish Derek Barnett the best, and I would listen to what DeMeco Ryans says, because DeMeco Ryans is an outstanding head coach.
You might listen to what he says. I'll be watching what he's saying. Whew.
He said that.
All right, Zach, what did Nick Sirianni say when we spoke to him about an hour ago?
He said quite a bit.
Okay, well, what popped to you? Give me the headlines. Break it down. What were the three most important things that he talked about?
Well, so first off, there's no update on Zach Cunningham's injury. Zach Cunningham, Nick Sirianni says he's a tough guy. He's gonna do everything he can to play.
One of the most physical players he's ever been around.
One thing to monitor here is the Shaq Leonard situation. Bo asked Nick Sirianni about Shaq Leonard today. I'll give some update here. Josina Anderson, who does a fine job covering the league, it's been out there that Leonard's visiting. Leonard's visiting the Cowboys this week. She said that the Eagles' interest in Leonard has heated up since the Cunningham injury. Now, Bo asked Sirianni about their relationship. They still have a strong relationship. Sirianni gave the anecdote of Leonard on defense. It's like Jim Boeheim's 2-3 zones. How do you get the ball into
of course,
the
I smiled at that, yeah.
And Nick Sirianni, of course, from Western New York.
Well, and what a 1-for-1, Zach, because all he's talking about is Darius Leonard's long arms. Zach Cunningham, they got the same arm length, 34 3/8, 96th percentile. How about that?
Yeah, so
like for like.
As somebody who
get Hakeem Warwick in here.
As somebody who's seen a lot of Syracuse basketball games, a lot of 2-3 zone.
Oof, what a slog.
It is hard to get the ball into the passing lanes, though. That's for sure. You can hit threes against them, but getting the ball in the passing lane. I did some work on this last week. You know, I do know Sirianni.
Dissecting the 2-3 matchup zone, or
no on Leonard. I do know Sirianni has some has great fondness for Leonard. Certainly, there is a hole there for the Eagles. I don't know if the Kobe Dean's going to be back this season. Christian Ellis is the next linebacker up, but he's literally the only linebacker up. The Eagles talked about Ben Van Sumeren. He's not on the 53, and they've used all his elevation, so they would have to bring him to the 53. So I think this is a possibility.
But it doesn't sound like, even if Cunningham is going to miss this game, the way that Sirianni was talking about it didn't sound like an IR possibility.
Yeah, not like a season ender. Yeah.
Even an IR thing.
Or an IR thing, yeah. So certainly something that we will monitor here. If the reported visit to Dallas was supposed to be Wednesday, I imagine this could be accelerated one way or the other, because
I thought it was odd, just to get into the weeds here. It was odd that they activated Quez Watkins for this game.
Yeah.
And committed to using that roster spot on him instead of waiting to see what injuries came out of this game in case you needed to elevate somebody.
Well, I think they were going to have Quez back this week anyways. So.
Yeah, but maybe, right?
So when they felt Quez was ready, and I think they wanted another skill position player. So those are a few things that jumped out from the Leonard aspect of it. Sirianni, gushing about the special teams, said, "Can you believe they cut Britton Covey? And Britton Covey's could be the best returner in the NFL." So strong words for Britton Covey. Also,
now I will say on that front, they cut him twice. They cut him at the beginning of last year and at the beginning of this year. The cut at the beginning of this year, especially, they knew what they were doing. Like, he wasn't good. Like, that's Howie Roseman making an educated bet that he's not going to get claimed. We're going to keep this guy, because remember, he was injured during the summer.
Sure.
Like, they wanted to keep Britton Covey around. That was like the roster mechanics of it. we could debate about whether Mario Goodrich should have made the team over him instead.
Yeah,
if
they
you
once
knew that he
wanted
was
to
going to
keep
be quite
Casey
this
Toohill
good.
around too.
Well, exactly right. Like sometimes you make those educated bets and they're wrong, but I think more often than not, Howie Roseman does have a good sense of what the league is going to value, and he does a good job maximizing the bottom of the roster.
Yeah, but they did cut him twice, and Covey has been awesome. He's been tough. He's made good decisions. He's been value added to the Eagles, and I think he's going to be a big part of this team for the next few years because I expect him to maintain that role.
If not literally.
Not is that a size joke?
Yeah, I had to go for it. Low hanging fruit. Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Now Covey is, I can tell you, like really respected in that locker room. One of those
Thou
guys.
shalt not covey thy neighbor's wife.
Okay. Let's keep the main thing, which, by the way, does not come from Jalen Hurts. It comes from who?
Dwight Schrute.
No, Stephen Covey.
Well, there you go.
Grandfather, and shout out DJ Smith. He wrote that story.
He wrote that book?
No, he can write that. He didn't write that book. I mean, EJ's really good, but come on.
Wow.
That book is...
Shots fired at EJ. Poor guy.
That book's like an international bestseller. I mean,
I'm not putting that past EJ. I'm not putting a ceiling on him.
I'm not putting a ceiling on him, but EJ
Sounds
hasn't
like you
written
are.
an international bestseller yet. EJ,
Yeah.
if you're watching, I think Stephen Covey is something to shoot for. Then I guess because Stephen Covey, you can learn a lot from him, including keep the main thing. So
I'd rather read an EJ Smith article any day of the week than that book.
It's not mutually exclusive. So at the top of the press conference, the question came up about Frank Reich. And I know we're going to get into that. Sirianni says he hasn't thought about adding Frank Reich to the staff yet. They literally just finished with their review of the Bills game. I mean,
how many turkeys would you put on Frank Reich being an unofficial or official part of the staff at some point down the stretch here?
35.
Okay.
I mean,
I saw he gave one interview that said like this is probably the end of my road in football.
Yeah, the Charlotte
like
Observer.
That, right. Which may or may not be true.
Yeah.
I feel like that's usually not the case for football lifers, but I think that Sirianni would love to have him if he could.
It could be one of these things consulting from afar, right? Now,
right.
I say this. I'm not one of these people who says like, oh, the best situation to be is a fired coach. You get to just sit there and collect your paycheck.
You want to work till the day you die. Famously.
Yeah, like if you love what you do, you want to do what you do. You don't just want to collect that paycheck twice a month. You want to do what you do. That said, when you've been fired twice in a year now, right? You're 63 years old. You don't need to jump back into like a consultant situation. You can send Sirianni some texts and emails from afar.
Right.
Like,
you don't need to be coming in the building every day.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly.
I agree with that.
So that's the part I don't know, but I imagine Sirianni and Frank Reich are going to be having some
I do sort of wonder
here.
like how Sirianni takes that from like a like self-analysis standpoint, right? Like he has so much reverence for Frank Reich. We know that, right? And to have seen him now, fail back-to-back times and get fired in back-to-back years, is he just thankful that he is under like Jeffrey Lurie's ownership and is in this well-run organization? Is it like, oh, maybe I'm better than Frank?
Well, so
I wonder like what's going on in his mind about that.
So I'm going to give you a little spin zone here.
Okay.
There was like so much.
Frank walked so I could fly.
No, there was so much conversation in Philly. Like, was Frank Reich really the secret to the Super Bowl success? Doug Peterson's doing just fine right now in Jacksonville.
Yeah, good point.
Okay. Like maybe Nick Sirianni was the secret to Frank Reich's success.
Oh, wow. How about that?
Yeah, because I've spoken to a lot of people
interesting
in that Indianapolis building who have said,
this is good spin zone. This is good PRing.
Who have said like Nick was really valuable to what they did in those first few years with Frank. And it was mainly when Nick was hired, and then after that press conference, like, don't judge him on this. This guy is a stud. Like what this guy did for this team, it was real, and I kept hearing that over and over and again. And when Frank Reich became the coach there, you got to remember he inherited Josh McDaniels' defensive staff, like Eberflus and Jonathan Gannon. But Ballard let him like hire one, the first guy he hired, the absolute first guy he hired was Nick Sirianni.
And are you sure that it wasn't Jonathan Gannon's suggestion that he hire Nick Sirianni?
I'm sure it wasn't Jonathan Gannon's suggestion. They didn't know each other at the time. But in hindsight, maybe he said, I could tell that guy was a stud.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, so my spin zone here, and this isn't to say Frank Reich's not a good coach, but maybe, just maybe, the straw that stirred the drink in Indianapolis the whole time was Nick Sirianni. Because what Nick Sirianni's doing as a head coach is outstanding. And what Nick Sirianni's record as a head coach with Indianapolis went downhill when Nick Sirianni left. Now, I understand they brought Carson Wentz in, and there was I don't want to. As
with everything, there are many
exactly.
factors. Yeah.
I don't want to conflate, a correlation with causation, or causation with correlation. But I do think that Sirianni deserves more credit in this than he probably gets.
I have two things to talk about here. One is that I totally agree that we talked about it in the post-game show last night. Jamie brought it up that why doesn't Nick Sirianni get more pop for Coach of the Year? I don't think he gets enough credit for the way that this organization has performed over the past few years. I tweeted about it earlier. Only 4 teams in the NFL have outperformed their preseason over-under expectation each of the past 2 years. One of them is the Steelers, who have squeaked over both years. One of them is the Bengals, who are right there with the Eagles, but they are not going to do it this year. Obviously, the Burrow injury has a lot to do with that. The other is the Cowboys. Respect to the Cowboys. They have not outperformed it as much as the Eagles, and both the Eagles and Cowboys look like they're going to do it again. But he is consistently outperforming what the Vegas expectations are for them. It's hard to parse it out because this roster is so loaded. It feels like this is more of a Howie Roseman production or a Jalen Hurts production for the reasons that we talked about at the top of the show about Jalen Hurts. But yes, I think Nick Sirianni does not get enough credit for the reasons and why this team is so good. The other part I want to talk about here is Nick Sirianni talked about it on his press conference today. They have struggled a little bit offensively. Look at the size of that mug. Oh my God. Can
I be discreet?
Can you bring it back up?
I'm trying to be discreet here, Bo.
You cannot say, "Can I be discreet?" when you pull out the Hoover Dam in your hands. Lift that thing up.
I literally waited for Julia, our outstanding producer. Julia does awesome. To have this solo shot of you, and once the solo shot of you was there, I went down. I grabbed my water bottle.
Look at the size of that thing.
I mean, I'm trying to drink my 100 ounces.
Oh, my God.
How many ounces of water do you drink a day?
Not that. Oh, my God.
Well,
the size of that thing.
You have to drink more water, Bo.
Zach, we are not. We got a good show going on right now. We're having substantive conversations.
Yes.
We are not going to relitigate the pseudoscience and fakery of big water. Okay?
I agree. Let's not relitigate
Water
that.
is fine.
I'm happy to be on the right side of history on that one.
Okay, you, Tom Brady, and Sam Bankman-Fried can all count your money together. All right.
I don't even understand that reference.
It's all fake. It's not a real thing. There is no science behind it. It's not true.
Dr. Wolf over here. Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I'm a discerning citizen. Okay. Sirianni talked about the first half struggles they've had on offense. They have been better in the second halves on offense, most of the season. So much focus on Brian Johnson, right? Mm-hmm. To me, it seems like the Nick Sirianni influence in the offense and the play calling and the play design, the stuff that they're doing during the week, that's the stuff that's coming out in the first half, right? So if I'm guessing, and this is pure conjecture, what's more Sirianni, what's more Brian Johnson, I would guess that the in-game changes to what's happening on the field are more Brian Johnson than Nick Sirianni. And the first, 5 drives or so are much more what was baked into the game plan from the beginning. Is that fair, do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And I'm not into saying this is Nick or this is Brian,
and we'll never know. It's impossible to say. But it's all varying degrees. But
I think it's very important to identify why this keeps happening. And when I ask about it, I keep getting this like trite answer. Well, we go back to what works. We go back to we go back to the basics, and it brings to mind Doug Peterson on Thursday nights, where he's like his wife says you can put a game plan together in 2 days. Why why can't you do it in a week? I look at this like
it seems so silly yesterday.
They're overthinking themselves, and I keep going back to that drive in the first half where they had 4 plays and 2 went to Gainwell and 2 went to Boston Scott, and it's like just throw the ball to Devontae Smith. I saw Jeff McClain had a stat today that Devontae Smith is catching 90% of his pass attempts since the Jets game. Okay, or I'm sorry, 90% of his targets since the Jets game, and like that's confirming what we're seeing. When you throw the ball to these guys, good things happen. When you throw the ball to AJ and Devontae, good things happen. There's this idea of trying to mix this and mix that.
Your boy Julio Jones was the difference yesterday. It seemed like he really turned the tide.
Yeah, I didn't understand that 3rd and 14 screen to him. Some of this stuff is I get what we see as a screen. There can be like an RPO there, right? And that's what your read is. But to me, it's like the Madden test sometimes. I don't mean to simplify it. Like that touchdown run at the end of the game was great game planning, great play design, great execution.
And Nick is always really good in like analyzing specific plays like that. He gave a very good detailed answer on all the different parts of why that play worked and fooled the Bills defense.
But if you're in a 3rd and 14 and you want to get a first down or at least a 4th and manageable, don't throw a screen pass to Julio Jones. Throw the ball to A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith. Like, just take your chances that these guys are going to make a play. And I understand there's bracket coverage, and I understand that there's different, but when you get the ball to your best players, good things tend to happen.
Well, of course, when things are working, they look simple. But in the second half, it did feel like, okay, let's make sure we get the balls to our best players. And if Lane Johnson is out and Cam Jurgens is not having his best game, maybe let's run to the left side. And they had that long drive, that long touchdown drive, which was like 5 DeAndre Swift runs to the left side. Let's run behind Mailata and Dickerson in this game. And it was like, great. Why did it take so long? Like, I don't know.
I am with you there. And I think it's something that all coaches kind of fault themselves into is just get the ball to your best players. And if you're going to go down, go down with a pass to A.J. Brown or go down with a pass to Devontae Smith.
Yeah, I think that's right. All right. Well, if you want to check out the team in action on Sunday in the San Francisco 49ers Super Bowl, you can look for tickets on Game Time because buying tickets to your favorite event shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. They've got flash deals and last-minute tickets, easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area, images of seat views, lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, and more. Game Time is the place for last-minute ticket deals. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. The Game Time guarantee means you will always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem with code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
It is 4:40 p.m. right now here on the East Coast.
I got 4:39, but...
Okay, 4:39 p.m. here on the East Coast. There's only a few hours left in this outstanding Black Friday, Cyber Monday deal that we have going on. 25% off the entire PHLY locker. You see this hoodie I'm wearing now? Now, we have this great graphic on the screen. When the graphic's off the screen, you'll see that I'm wearing this hoodie that I got myself at PHLY locker. And there's so many other great items there. There's even some new designs that you can find. It's 25%. Here. Look at these new releases that are Eagles related or Philly football related. You got Fletcher Cox on that shirt.
Sickos.
You can get these for 25% off. And not just that, if you buy multiple, therefore you're spending $75 or more, you receive a $15 gift card. So that next new drop we get, just apply that gift card to that new drop. This is from November 24th to November 27th. It's November 27th right now. So there's only a few hours left. Make sure you get your merch. I got mine again, and I got some for my wife, and I'll continue to be scanning the store. PHLY Locker.
All right, Zach. Let's talk some leftovers from yesterday. Things that upon rewatching the game popped to you. Who were some of the people who you think we need to give credit to, or maybe didn't discuss enough?
Well, DeAndre Swift. First off, DeAndre Swift is not just like a fun scat back who you find ways to get him the ball in space. He's a good local story. No, DeAndre Swift is a legitimate starting running back making big time plays for the Eagles. Every time they seem to need like a jolt, DeAndre Swift comes through with a chunk play. The way they're using him in motion is getting defense's attention. DeAndre Swift early in the season was like, all right, the offensive, he's finally in this Eagles offense. You're seeing what he can do here. This offensive line, great acquisition by Howie Roseman. Now, DeAndre Swift does everything you want a running back to do. He gets tough yards for you. Okay, he's been durable for the Eagles. He catches the ball. I've been so impressed with DeAndre Swift, and I thought yesterday was one of his more like workman-like games. He's getting these yards in chunks. This is I don't mean to take a shot at Miles Sanders, but you see what's going on in Carolina right now, where Miles Sanders basically lost his job to Hubbard, and DeAndre Swift is just a better player than Miles Sanders. I've been so impressed with him.
He has been a catalyst for them in the past few weeks. Like it does feel like when he gets involved, when he's able to get in space, that has sort of helped turn the tide on the offense. I think there were a couple runs yesterday where he tried to do a little too much and lost yards. If we're having the 10,000-foot view running back conversation, I think you could say that part of the reason Miles Sanders has lost his job in Carolina is because he was used so much last year by the Eagles, right? And that's probably the way they're going to go again with DeAndre Swift. I don't think that he is necessarily coming back this next year, but I agree that he is a better player than Miles Sanders was last year. He can do more. He's usually a little bit more decisive, and I think he's more dynamic in the open field. He's been fantastic.
Next guy I want to discuss, Jordan Davis, man. Jordan Davis, who the Eagles were so undermanned at defensive line yesterday, on the defensive line yesterday. They had to play these guys a lot of snaps. Jordan Davis played 62 snaps, 65% of the game. In overtime, he had a really meaningful play. Great play. Chasing down Josh Allen. You saw the way he was moving for a guy who's 350 pounds. And I want to point this out because not just was he productive, but there's been a lot of talk about getting them into shape, getting him into the proper weight. Nick Sirianni referenced that today. Jordan Davis is doing everything behind the scenes this year that they could want him to do. And I thought that moment yesterday, it's not one of those he stuffed the middle of the line and this is the dominant player he was at Georgia. This is sheer want to. This is the intangible characteristics. This is when you say he has these tools, but what does he love the game? Him chasing Josh Allen, huffing and puffing in overtime on his 63rd play of the game, forcing Josh Allen not to turn the corner there. It's a play that doesn't show up as a major TFL on the stat sheet or anything like that, but it was huge for the production of the game or for the result of the game.
Yeah, I think it was a very impressive performance from him. And you heard Sirianni talk about it today, saying, we've been on him about his conditioning, and he's been on himself too. But it has long been a conversation with Jordan Davis. And even if he was not the world's most impactful pass rusher yesterday. He was a huge part of the game. You know, they did hold James Cook to like 2.7 yards a carry. And for him to be, you know, able to give it his all in overtime after playing so many snaps, I think absolutely that speaks to you know, his pushing himself.
The next guy I want to bring up, Jalen Carter. And I know you guys had a real good conversation on the post-game show last night. I can tell you exactly where I was driving when I was listening to it. Jalen Carter, all around yesterday, was just a monster when I went back and watched the film. I thought and I only watched the TV copy, but still, you could see it. He was penetrating. He was disruptive. He was commanding attention. The blocked field goal or deflected field goal, however you want to frame it, had a huge impact on the game. And I know this is at least from the way I view it, because I'm obsessed with like roster construction, this is a week when Jalen Carter's in the spotlight because they're playing against Javon Hargrave. And Javon Hargrave was really good last year, is really good this year for San Francisco. I don't think it's hyperbole to have the conversation that not even just long-term, this year, the Eagles are better with Jalen Carter than they would have been with Javon Hargrave because he is so good against the run, and he like the double teams that he commands, he's not taking advantage of other people's double teams. He is commanding double teams. He might simply be a better player than Hargrave, and Hargrave has been awesome.
I don't think that's. I mean, I think we've sort of said that for a while now. I think that is
but
true.
I've been reluctant to go there, and I'm going there now.
Yeah, I think that's true. Now, I think the connective thread here between DeAndre Swift, who you're talking about, and Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, and we can get to it, but the snap counts for Josh Sweat playing 81 snaps, Hassan Reddick playing 83 snaps. You know, you said DeAndre Swift has been durable. This is now like as many touches as he's ever had in a season, and this is through week 12. If I am concerned about something with the Eagles beyond like the level of their play heading into this important stretch, they've got guys who are playing too many snaps.
Yeah.
I mean, Nolan Smith played 11 snaps yesterday. Moro Ojimo was up, and he played 1 snap, even though Fletcher Cox was out for most of this game. I think it is a real concern. Now, if you go out and get these next 2 wins, you can basically rest guys the last 3 weeks, right? You know, those guys can play 50% of the snaps and take week 18 off, and then they're going to get a bye week. Like, there is the potential of rest at the end of the tunnel, but they're pushing it a little bit and like a little bit beyond my comfort level with some of these guys.
I hear you there. The pushback I would give you is this team does not practice much during the week. And, you know, they have walkthroughs on Wednesdays. Fridays are a light session. Thursdays are really the only day that they're going with like intensity, you know, intensity in terms of their legs. So, excuse me, I imagine that is factored into this as well. Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about it, and there are some other spots. Yeah, it's a little bit on my radar. The next guy I wanted to bring up, James Bradberry, was all over the place yesterday, and he's been down this year. He hasn't been as consistent as he was a year ago. But I thought that yesterday was what I call a film room game because he was like he knew what the Bills were doing, and this is the benefit of having a 30-year-old cornerback is the savvy with which he played, the pass breakups that he had. I thought a lot of it was just being at the right place. You're sacrificing foot speed with Bradberry. You know that going into it. But I just thought he was so seldom out of position. The interception, he read that right away. And we can debate this offseason whether that was a good contract for the Eagles. I don't know if that was their plan going into the offseason. I think it kind of fell into their laps when the money wasn't what Bradberry might have been looking for elsewhere. And there's probably a reason why the money wasn't what Bradberry was looking for elsewhere. And there were times this year where I said, yeah, this isn't looking too good. Or this looked better last year. But I was really impressed with the game Bradberry played yesterday.
Yeah, I thought it was his best game of the season by a long shot, and I thought the interception was really, really impressive. That was a great play, and then the play he made to punch the ball out of Stephon Diggs going down to catch it low, where it looked like maybe it was a drop, but he just got in there. Like, that was a great play. I thought he was really good yesterday.
And then the last guy I want to shout out, and we referenced this, Devontae Smith is so good. And he's so good in ways that, like, when A.J. Brown's so good, he's so good in loud ways, right?
Yes.
A.J. Brown, you're just like, there aren't people on this earth who are like that. Devontae Smith, it's just a technician. It's the way he gets open. It's the way he holds onto the ball through contact.
Manipulates his body, manipulates space. Yeah.
He's everything they could have wanted. And he's been on a heater during these past few weeks. Over 100 yards yesterday. He had those 2 games recently where he's at 99. And this is one of those things when we pick our head up at the end of the year. I think I said that at the bye week when we were doing the stock stuff. When you pick your head up at the end of the year, his numbers are going to be what we thought they were going to be, because he's just so consistent. We agreed
he was the easy answer for who was going to have a better second half than first half.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's proving that true. He's been fantastic. All right, before we get to the rest of the show, let's talk FOCO, because FOCO is a leading manufacturer of sports and entertainment merchandise with a product line that includes apparel, accessories, toys, collectibles, novelty items, and more. It's the best officially licensed gear for all sports and fandoms. It is football and tailgating season, and it's buy your gifts for the holidays season. And they've got overalls, hoodies, hats, sunglasses, bags, everything you need for a game. FOCO has hooked PHLY up and provided awesome pieces for our sets. FOCO always has our back for Philly sports, and they have yours too. So get the best gear around by using the link in our description. For all non-presale items, use the promo code PHLY10 for 10% off. Zach, would you like to quickly review how Goose Wisely turned out yesterday?
Let's do it.
You had Gabe Davis has a catch of 15-plus yards. You hit that. Bang on the nose. I had Julio Jones gets more touches than Boston Scott. Didn't happen. That was your choice. 1-0 you. I used my golden egg on Josh Allen. Has more total yards than Jalen Hurts. That definitely happened. 2 points for me. You had Jalen Hurts has more yards per carry than Josh Allen. Did not happen. 2-1 me. You chose Jalen Carter out sacks Ed Oliver. Did not happen, which left me with AJ Epinesa out sacks Brandon Graham. Did not happen. I chose the Eagles register 4+ sacks. Did not happen, which left you with the Bills register 4+ sacks. Did not happen. You chose Jalen Hurts scores a non-sneak rushing touchdown. You nailed that on the walk-off. You tied up 2-2, which left me with Josh Allen either runs through or jumps over an Eagles defender. I would love to, play some chicanery here and say that, that he did break some tackles. There was the one where he sort of bypasses Reed Blankenship in the open field, but by the letter of the law, by what I was proposing, I don't think this happened. So I will play it straight there. Still 2-2. You chose, I chose DeAndre Swift gets 113+ yards from scrimmage, which would have brought him to 1,000. Didn't quite happen, which left you with Devontae Smith has in the 93 to 99 range in receiving yards. He topped that, so that did not happen. It stays 2-2. You chose and used your golden egg on Bill Belichick and the Buffalo Bills have the same result on Sunday. The Bill double, both close games, you got it. So a big 2-pointer for you, which left me with there is a catch or non-catch overturned upon review. Did not happen. That clinches things for you. And then it closes out with I chose the total points in the Bills-Eagles game is fewer than the total points in Ohio State-Michigan, which gives you the point because overtime pushed it over the edge. So you take the win, 5-2.
That's hell to the victors.
So much for
that's hell to the victors.
Objective journalism.
I didn't cover Michigan, Ohio State.
You've made it 6-4. So good job by you. Congratulations.
Thank you. I would like to thank the Academy.
Compliments to the chef.
Compliments to the chef. Yes. Khalif, thank God. Great job, ZB. Appreciate it, Khalif. And appreciate your loyal viewership. Really do. All
right. What else is on your mind from yesterday, Zach? What else would you like to discuss?
Well, we're going to have a full week here, man, because this is a huge week for the Eagles. I know there's interest in Fletcher Cox in Fletcher Cox's
Well,
status.
so you said no word on Cunningham, but we also, Lane Johnson, the national reports seem to be day-to-day good chance he plays this week. We don't really haven't really heard anything on Fletch yet. And then the other one is the Dallas Goedert. There's some reporting that he could be able to play this Sunday.
Yeah, I think that actually got brought up on the PHLY
I think
show.
it did a couple weeks ago by
I think
Zach
someone
Berman.
said maybe that San Francisco game is a possibility. Someone's sniffing around, I think.
Well, we'll see what happens.
The Lane Johnson thing, I had a piece up yesterday and I talked about it. My understanding was that the MRI showed inflammation, and he's sore. And I talked about the word in the locker room was that he kind of got held back because they want this to be a long-term thing. My guess is he'll play, but again, it's soon. I know there was a lot of satisfaction or appreciation with the way Jack Driscoll played, but this Niners front is really tough. So that's gonna be a big story to monitor.
Yeah, but I mean, you've already buried Javon Hargrave dead and gone. So
well, no, I'm reading some. As I started my week here, I see some of this rhetoric out of San Francisco. I mean, not to take come on, it's a game in December here. Let's not act like
it is wild.
Let's not act like this is relitigating the Super Bowl or the NFC Championship last year.
It is wild how on tilt they are about this entire matchup.
There was
bizarre.
There was a story from a few weeks ago how they already have their eyes set on the Eagles game. It's like
it's so childish. Kyle Shanahan, be a grown up.
Yeah. My goodness, I do feel like this is their Super Bowl this week.
But what do you make of them being favorites?
They've been playing better this year, or at least in recent weeks, but that really surprised me. The Eagles are the home team, but my guess is if the Eagles were favorites, the money would have gone to San Francisco's side, and Vegas is protecting themselves against that because the Niners have played better. Like if you just look at the data, I mean, whether it's DVOA, whether whatever stats you want to look at, San Fran has been better in recent weeks, and you don't put a point spread together based on intent, based on the Eagles find a way to win, right? That said, the Eagles are at home. I don't think this game is gonna carry the same significance to the Eagles that I think the Eagles would love to shut up the Niners, but I don't think the Eagles are viewing this as their season.
I saw Hassan Reddick said something in the locker room about it. Basically, they've been doing a lot of talking, but now we get a chance to line up. We'll see what they're really made of.
Yeah. Now, if I'm Nick Sirianni, the message I would say is that the Super Bowl is played in February in Vegas. It's not played in December in Philadelphia, right? So you this game counts the same as the Bills game, and it'll count the I was gonna say it counts the same as the Cowboys.
It's now 2.5 for the Niners.
Yeah. So I was surprised to see that number, but I understand it when you look at the way the Niners are playing right now. I think the Niners and the Ravens are probably playing the best in the NFL. But the Eagles are the best team in the NFL. The Eagles have 10 wins, and it's not just 10 wins. I said this on the show. I can't emphasize it enough. In these 10 wins, they've beaten the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Bills, the Dolphins. This is not inflated by the Giants twice and the Commanders, and they're facing everyone on their schedule, and it's kind of laughable to me that the only team that's beaten them is Zach Wilson and the Jets, as if there's Gallo humor. There's Gallo's humor associated with that.
That's true. Crazy game. Crazy stuff happens. I guess we'll see what happens on Sunday. We will be here all week to continue previewing this game. Back tomorrow, thinking probably 2-ish, but we will get that to you on our Twitters then on Thursday and Friday, all ahead of Sunday's action when we will have a kickoff show and a post-game show. A big game coming up, lots to talk about. We will delve into it more the rest of the week. Brian Baldinger joining us tomorrow. Hope to get Fletcher Cox at some point this week as well when he's not in treatment. So lots to look forward to. So for Zach, who had the really important trenchant advice before the show started today, he wants everybody out there to make sure that you are cleaning your pipes. So make sure you're doing that. For all of us here at PHLY, for Zach and Julia, we thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll talk to you tomorrow. And as always, we love you.